how much was a soda when you were 9 or 10 years old in Texas?
A dime.
A dime.
Big bottles are a dime.
The big glass bottles that we, what we call Mexican Coke these days.
Yes.
Yeah, but they weren't Mexican Cokes.
They had pure cane sugar in them back then, too.
Right.
Just like the Mexican Cokes.
So the big bottle was a dime.
And then you could take the bottle back and get a nickel.
Yo! So it was 5 cents. Welcome to Sat Chats, the Bitcoin podcast where we chat about sats. Sats are the smallest part of a Bitcoin, the same way pennies are the smallest part of a dollar. With Sat Chats, we are building the world's biggest Bitcoin welcome center to serve as your gateway to generational wealth. So if you're brand new to Bitcoin, we want to chat about sats with you. Head to satchats.com to grab your slot in the studio today. I'm your host, Stuart Bitcoin Maxi, who wears prescription sunglasses to protect you and your loved ones from my Bitcoin laser eyes.
And I'm Chris, your co-host, resident smash buyer, and CEO of Ithaca Hummus. A couple of announcements. We have a $10 million?
$10 million.
$10 million giveaway if you subscribe. So smash that subscribe button like I smash Bitcoin. When my wife lets me.
Yeah.
And I am Monty, the dadgum paterfamilias of this family.
That's right.
Co-hosting today for Chris.
And what's your number?
And my number is number 18. We're on the road to number 99, and that's the road to Kristen, my daughter-in-law, Stu's definitely better half. If something happens to them and they get a divorce, we're keeping her. And letting him go.
We have got my Uncle Mike in the studio here today, who is your younger brother. So this is
better looking.
Oh, there we go.
Up from Texas.
So,
yeah,
Uncle Mike, on the show, since you are what we call a pre-coiner, we're going to talk to you about Bitcoin today. But before we do, Uncle Mike, help our satillionaires get to know you a little bit better.
Hey, my name's Michael. I'm a teacher. I'm a shop teacher. And I hang out with teenagers all day. I'm a metal shop teacher, so I hang out with teenagers with sharp pieces of metal all day. That's lots of fun. I love to go camping. I don't know anything about Bitcoin.
So, shop teacher from Texas and a metal worker, right?
Right.
You don't know anything about Bitcoin at all.
Not a thing.
But surely you've heard about Bitcoin once or twice.
Yes.
Okay. And where have you heard it? Where have you seen it?
Internet. One of my teacher buddies, a robotics teacher, he built a bot that's supposed to trade Bitcoins, but it didn't work very well. But that's a whole nother story.
Yeah.
But that's about it.
Okay. Do you have any feelings toward it whatsoever?
My feelings up to this point has always been it's not real, that there's nothing backing it. So it can go, value can go to zero. And you're out whatever you bought it for.
Okay.
I don't know. But I've lost money in the stock market too. So, yeah, I don't know anything about it. So it's hard to trust when you don't know anything.
Yeah. Okay. What is keeping you from stacking your first sats?
Don't want to lose any of my money. I'm
Okay.
close to retirement. Hopefully 2 more years of teaching high school kids with sharp pieces of metal and I can retire, but I got to have some money. So I don't want to invest in anything where I might lose it.
This is really interesting because I'm not certain if we've had anybody who's like basically on the verge of retirement come on the show. Do you feel like if you hang around teenagers with sharp things for 2 more years, What a job description. Do you feel like you will be able to retire, earn no more money specifically through a job, and be able to live out the rest of your days?
No, I believe I'm going to have some kind of part-time job because teachers don't make a lot of money.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I didn't start saving. When I did save, I lost it in the stock market. So I'm going to have some kind of income.
Yeah. Okay. So why would you even call that retirement? You know what I mean? If you're still going to be working a job.
I won't be at school. School is all consuming. So even when you're not at school, you're thinking of school and what you're going to have to do. So just going to a regular job is going to be like really awesome.
Yeah.
And not having to plan lessons for what you're going to teach these kids.
So what job do you see yourself doing?
Maybe manufacturing. I used to work for a golf club manufacturer, a custom putter maker. Mm-hmm. And I just talked to him not too long ago. I've got a laser at school, and I laser engraved some metal, and I sent him a picture because he could use that in the golf clubs. And he told me, hey, I got a laser. Give me a call when you get a minute. He wants me to come teach him how to use his laser. So,
okay.
Who knows?
Okay. And do you think you would be working that full time or part time? Like how many hours per week would you do that?
Hopefully just part time, 20 hours a week, just a little cash to go out to eat on.
Yeah. Okay.
That kind of stuff. Or worst case scenario is I'm at Lowe's.
Yeah.
Can I help you? I know a lot about making things. So.
Yeah. Yeah. And how long do you think you'll work your part-time job after retiring?
So I can't work anymore, probably. I don't know. Also, being a teacher, I get summers off, and I know if I don't have something to do, I'm pretty lazy. I'm just going to get fat and lazy, out of shape.
So you're gonna retire from being a school teacher, and then you're gonna work a part-time job as long as you can.
Probably.
And then when you're, just almost a skeleton, you'll be the guy that does the smiley face at Walmart when you walk in.
Yep.
Yeah.
The Walmart greeter.
You're going to be you're going to try to put it on,
when I can't do anything else, Walmart greeters and the retirement plan.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. Do you think, apart from the stock market loss that you suffered, do you think that the low income of your career choice is responsible for the need to continue working into retirement?
Yes.
Okay. What if somebody came along and was like, well, you just didn't manage your money good enough and you should have saved more?
I would agree with them. I could have done a lot better. And I taught my son that. At least he's already saving.
Okay.
And hopefully he doesn't lose all his.
All right. So do you think there's anything else at all that might potentially, allegedly, possibly be going on that would be responsible, at least in part, for the fact that you have worked a good, clean, honest job for decades and are going to have to retire into a part-time job?
Just the economy going, everything's more expensive.
Don't
know exactly. I'm sure there's stuff going on, but
I think you said it right there. Everything's more expensive. Correct?
Correct.
How much was a soda when you were 9 or 10 years old in Texas?
A dime.
A dime.
The big bottles.
A dime.
The big bottles are a dime.
The big glass bottles that what we call Mexican Coke these days.
Yes.
Yeah, but they weren't Mexican Cokes.
They had pure cane sugar in them back then too.
Right.
Just like the Mexican Cokes.
Like the Mexican Cokes
make Mexican Cokes American Cokes again. Okay.
Exactly.
So the big bottle of Coke was a dime.
And then you could take the bottle back and get a nickel.
Yo! So it was 5 cents. It was 5 cents. So you used to spend a dime on a big thing of soda, and then you could take the bottle back and get freaking 5 cents back.
Nickel back.
Okay. Now it might be $3 to $5 for a soda that doesn't even have real cane sugar in it. It's corn syrup. It's not glass anymore. It's plastic. And what has changed about that soda from when you were a kid until now? Does it have any more? I mean, I know well, at least out there.
Worse because of the cane sugar.
Okay.
It used to be cane sugar. Now it's corn syrup.
Right. So the product has gotten worse, which in a normal economy would command less money, correct?
Correct.
Because people say, I'm not going to pay a whole dime for this. This is only worth 5 cents. But so the product's worse and it's 100 times more expensive, right? Or 50 times more expensive. But if you look at the soda itself, like what has changed? I mean, it's not like it has more calories or it's not like it's become more nutritious. Nothing about the soda has gotten any better, right? How much was a hamburger when you were 9 or 10 years old?
35 cents.
35 cents? Oh my gosh. It sounds like y'all were growing up in like 1880 over here. That is insane. 35 cents for a hamburger. Okay, so let's do this. 35 cents for a hamburger. How much was a French fry?
Damn.
I don't know.
It's probably 10 or 15 cents at least.
Okay, let's call it 15 cents to just be real conservative. So that's 50 cents. And then your soda is 10 cents. So you're going to get a hamburger, a fry, and a drink for 60 cents. Plus tax. I went to Five Guys about 2 weeks ago, Uncle Mike, and I got the cheeseburger. Now, granted, it has 2 patties on it, but that's the standard cheeseburger. You have to get the little cheeseburger if you only want the 1 patty. So I wasn't upsizing. I wasn't, McValue mealing it or whatever. I was just getting the cheeseburger. Then I got a small fry. Not the regular fry, not the large fry, small fry. And I did not get a drink. I just got water. $17.
Good Lord.
$17? Is the cow now from outer space that the beef is made with? It's the same cow. Some would argue it's a worse cow with a worse diet and antibiotics and all that stuff. Yeah, you know what I mean? And I think some people have shown that like food is now less nutritious. Like even like a potato sucks compared to y'all's potatoes or something. But 60 cents and now $17, that's like 30 to 34 times more expensive. It's the same amount of calories. It's like nothing has changed. How much was like a home? The first time you started looking at home prices, maybe you weren't 10. How old were you when you were first looking at a home price, and how much was it?
I bought my first house for $59,000.
$59,000?
Yep.
Is that on Wake?
Yeah, that was on Wake Drive. Yeah. 59. I think they wanted 63, and I talked them down.
Wow. Oh my gosh. All right. Well, it feels like y'all were playing life on easy mode compared to what I got these days, but it can't be that way. So now how much are, home prices?
But when I was working a job when I was 19, I was making $3.15 an hour.
Yeah. So things cost less, but you also earned less. So you still needed to work and save up and all that stuff, right?
Right.
So my point here that I'm driving at is there's no way that from you being 10 years old to mid 60s that life has gotten this much more expensive all of its own accord, right? And when you think about how humanity is constantly making things better and cheaper, how are they getting more and more expensive? What do you think is the reason?
Besides inflation, I don't know.
There's nothing to know beyond inflation. Quite frankly, that's the answer. What do you think, Dad?
That's like when we, I don't know if you remember when we got the first color TV set.
Yeah, I remember.
Dad, I was like, Dad, can't we get a color TV set? No, it's too expensive. But wait a couple of years. We'll wait a couple of years and they'll get cheap. It's like, well, why would they get cheap in 2 years? It's like we learn how to make them better and quicker and more. And sure enough, we got a color TV. And that's, I don't know if it's this point or if it was Jeff's, 62 Jeff, that made that point, that the nature of man in general, and the lack of time, our reduced time, the thing that's valuable is people, because we have this limited time. So we learn how to do everything better and everything gets cheaper. It drives prices down. Who was it that said that?
That was number 62, Jeff Booth. The natural state of the market is deflationary.
Yes. So everything we buy, at TV set, Dad was right. We got a black and white now. A couple of years, the color TV will come down. And literally everything on earth gets cheaper. Like we have more, we pump more oil now, and yet we found more oil reserves. There's more gold, more oil. What the restriction is people's time. And because of that, we get super efficient in making things, and everything should go lower and lower and lower in price, just like your house when you do it with Bitcoin. So crazy.
It is crazy. And when you think about how much it used to cost to call the United Kingdom long distance, it was $600 a minute when they first figured out how to do it.
And that was with almost real dollars back then.
But now, like, my phone can call Canada and Mexico for no charge. And, calls to the United Kingdom are very cheap, 10, 15 cents a minute, something like that.
That's a great example.
So it's like, some things are getting cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. Some things are getting more and more freaking expensive. Homes, food, gas, cars. And it's like, I get that things should go up and down, but the bottom floor of how expensive something is going up and up and up and up all the time, no matter what, is inflation. Now, what causes inflation, Uncle Mike?
I don't know. Everything gets more expensive. That's a good question. I don't have the answer to that one.
What's crazy is I didn't either until I started looking into Bitcoin. I just took it as fact that everything is supposed to get 2 to 3% more expensive every year. And now I need to go to my employer and get a cost of living adjustment to try to offset that thing. I literally never thought about it one time. But when I started learning about, basically I built a career and was earning more and more and more and more and reaching the level of earnings that sixth grade Stuart thought meant I was a millionaire. And, reaching a 6-figure income was like, you made it, dude. And the next budget meeting, my wife's like, things real tight. I'm like, what? How? How am I making more and more and more and my budget's getting tighter and tighter and tighter? We're not taking private jets. We're not even going out to Chick-fil-A because it's like $50 for 4 people to eat there. Like, what is so expensive? And I started looking into Bitcoin and I learned more about inflation. And what I learned is that inflation is simply the government printing money. That is it. So here you are working for decades to earn something that your government can print for free. For free. It's like you're playing the game according to the rules and they've got a cheat code. That's it. So how do you fight inflation? Do you have any ideas?
No.
Gold is one idea.
Gold is one idea.
Very impractical.
But very impractical.
Extraordinarily impractical.
Okay.
But that's the closest I think you could get.
So gold is a great idea because gold is scarce. And gold is money. And it's been money for a long time. And everybody knows it's money. And not a single person ever questions whether gold is money. And gold is actually money because it has the properties of money. it is rare. Gold can be exchanged very easily. Gold bars, gold coins, gold ingots, gold jewelry, even clippings, Also, gold, if you melt it down, it'll cool off. It's fine. It doesn't rust. And the last thing that gold does is it is a good unit of account. So you can have 1 gold coin, 10 gold coins, 100 gold coins, or a truer way would be 1 ounce, 10 ounce, 100 ounces. Gold is as good as gold. So let's compare the dollar, Uncle Mike. The dollar is a great unit of value. $1, $10, $100, down to a dime, 1 penny, right? Great medium of exchange. Everywhere you go accepts the dollar here in America, right? And the dollar is sometimes accepted in other places too.
A lot of other countries, yep.
But if you put $100 in your bank account when you were 10 years old and a soda was 10 cents, then that money at that moment would have bought you 10 sodas per dollar times $100, 1,000 sodas. You could have had 1,000 sodas. But now that you're in your mid 60s
and get $500 back on our deposit, our bottle deposit.
Yeah, exactly. So now that you're in your mid 60s, if you go to get that $100 out of your account, and let's say a soda is $4 now you can get 25 sodas. So you went from being able to buy 1,000 sodas to 25 sodas, and actually the soda's worse because it's got the corn syrup. Did that dollar store your value the same way gold would? No, because they're making more and more of it, right? So that money has just been printed into infinity so that the government can pay itself to continue operating without actually having to provide any value or do any hard work, okay? But gold has gotten more and more expensive in dollar terms because it's holding on to its value. And people recognize these dollars aren't worth very much. So if you want me to give you this rare metal, I need more of those not rare slips of paper, period. All right. Are you ready for what happens next, Uncle Mike?
I'm ready.
Okay. So let's let Bitcoin enter the scene. Now that we've established the US dollar and compared it to gold, let's bring in contestant number 3, Bitcoin. Now, you said you don't know anything about Bitcoin. You don't understand how it works. You got nothing. The only thing you can think of is that it's probably not real.
Yes.
Okay. What if I told you that Bitcoin is the most real thing that anyone has ever created, ever?
You better say, I don't believe it.
I don't believe it.
Yeah, that's exactly the right answer.
Yeah.
That's totally the right answer.
All right. What is Bitcoin? Bitcoin is a protocol. It's a program. It's a piece of code or software. Just like TCP/IP is the protocol you use to access the internet. And I think SMTP is the protocol you use to send emails back and forth. Bitcoin is an online money protocol. And it is governed by code and by rules that everyone can see. It is open source, which means if you wanted to and had the skill, you could review every single line of code that makes up this digital money. And you could see for yourself, okay? You could see for yourself how this money works. Now, let's compare and contrast that with you taking your casita to Fort Knox and saying, "Excuse me, sir, can you open that up real quick so I can see inside?" What would they do?
You couldn't get close to it.
They'd be like this. They'd be like, "Sir, step back, sir. Excuse me, sir." You know what I mean? They'd be 2 hands on the automatic, right? So unlike the current manager of your money, you can see how it works. Okay. Now, what does that open source protocol allow for? It allows for 21 million Bitcoin. No more, no less. And it allows for a schedule that issues that money regularly over time until it's all the way done issuing. And then after that, there will just be 21 million Bitcoin for all of us to use around the world to power our whole economy. So it is unlike dollars, which ain't no limit, right? And unlike gold, which is pretty dang scarce, but they're finding more, there's 21 million, period. It is verifiably scarce.
And why does it fluctuate, the cost of them?
Okay. Because you're still trapped in US dollar mania. And I can kind of tell that you might have a hard time thinking of it in any other terms other than dollar, right? Let's bring it all the way back down to fiat world,
and
Dad.
bring it to your house. Right. This is what made me go, oh, yeah, I may be interested in Bitcoin.
I bought my house for $200,000 in 2014. And in 2024, it was worth $400,000. So it had doubled in value in 10 years. And I thought, man, I'm building wealth, baby. You know, my home is an asset. All right. And I'm increasing my net worth. All right. Now, I said, I wonder how much gold it would take. So I went and I looked up the price of gold in 2014, and I calculated how many ounces of gold I would need to buy my home in 2014 at $200,000. And the answer was something like 600 ounces. So then I found out the price of gold in 2024, which had gone up a bunch. And I said, well, how many ounces of gold would I need to buy my home at $400,000? Because it's doubled in value. Do you know how much gold I would need to buy my house?
Nope.
The same amount of gold. The same amount of gold. In dollar terms, my house was twice as valuable. In gold terms, it was the same dumb house with the same dumb roof and the same dumb doors and windows. Not anything about the house had changed. So why would it double in value? And actually, it was 599 ounces. I was like, dadgummit, my house has lost value. I think it was 1% less gold, but it's easier to say it was basically the same. So I was like, that was like, whoa. But then I was like, well, hang on here. How much Bitcoin would it take to buy my house in 2014 for $200,000? 500 Bitcoin. And I said, well, how much Bitcoin would I need in 2024 to buy my house at $400,000? Do you know how much?
Of course not. I'll answer for you.
No.
Nobody. Yeah.
5 Bitcoin. 5. Which means that not only had my house not doubled in value, not only had my house not just stayed the same, it had gone down by 99%. My house was a dump. Are you kidding me? It's not an asset whatsoever. And if I had taken the money I had bought, if I had taken the money I'd spent on my house and put it into Bitcoin, whoo, oh my gosh. And if all you can do is think about Bitcoin in money terms, then you should look at Bitcoin in money terms. Can you tell me the number one best performing asset in America over the past 16 years straight?
No.
It's Bitcoin. The returns on Bitcoin for the past 16 years have been greater than any other asset class, period. It is the greatest thing on earth if you're looking to grow your wealth. That's why we talked about it's going to be your gateway to generational wealth. Because like Jeff Booth says, pocket money today, well, I guess we say
He says a cup of coffee today is a car tomorrow.
Yes, he says the Bitcoin I send you to buy a cup of coffee today will buy you a car tomorrow. So what we say on this show is pocket money today is rocket money tomorrow. Because since they're making a whole lot more dollars and they're not making any more Bitcoin, supply and demand, right? Basic supply and demand. And if you're staring down the barrel of 2 more years of teenagers with sharp things, followed by another decade or two of being useful in some shape or form until finally all you can do is use your arthritic fingers to get a sticker off of a sheet and put it on some kid's chest. I mean, what if there were a way to put just a little bit of moolah that you're not really going to miss right now anyways into something that could actually end up healing all wounds and kind of covering up all past mistakes and taking you to a place where you're like, you know what? I'm actually done working, like for real done working. Wouldn't that be nice?
I would, when I see it, I'd believe it.
Yeah, and that's not
nice.
Yeah, and the sell for somebody our age is not that this used to sell for $1 a piece. They're now
that door's shut.
Yeah, exactly.
So that
the Wild West is over. However, what appeals to me is it takes so much energy to do everything right now, and we translate our energy into dollars when we make money, that we don't lose going forward. And for me, it's going to continue to go up, but not like it did. But as the different governments buy in, and a lot are starting, even in the United States, what it does is I'm not losing out. If we last another 30 years, which I hope I don't last that long, I'm not losing 30 years. I know, at 90. But
I don't want to be that long.
But it's going. I'm running out of energy. So the energy I have, I want to store in money. That's not going to do this. It literally is going to go down in our lifetime, even though we have a short lifetime left. So I'm looking to maintain my wealth, because we went into the bank 2 years ago, and the guy said, "Money, you just lost money." I said, "No, I didn't. I check my account every morning." He says, "No, what you could buy last year for that, you can't buy but 90%. So we had to start looking at, investments and stuff. Now, I know it's getting eaten up, and it's, to me, I'm buying it for the safety of the energy I have right now, not losing it. I don't even care if it goes up. So I want to put everything we got that's cash in here, because those efforts up in Washington just print all they want.
All right. So we'll bring it all the way back down here for you, Uncle Mike. What is Bitcoin? It is electronic peer-to-peer cash. That is truly what it is. Now, how much work do you have to do to believe that statement? Some would say at least 100 hours. And that's okay. But if I'm over here saying, look, man, Bitcoin, just look at Bitcoin, just get a little bit of Bitcoin, learn more about Bitcoin. I'm telling you, it's incredible, yada, yada, yada. And I'm this convicted about it. Do you think that you would be willing to learn more about Bitcoin after having this conversation with us?
Yeah, you've piqued my interest.
Okay.
And
was it the house? Was it the house story?
That was a good story, but no, just you.
Okay.
Just that.
Okay.
And you're excited about it. I believe you believe fully in it. So I'm a believer. But I have to always be.
You have to do this.
To do my homework.
The first thing is to learn about it.
So and really growing up with you, Uncle Mike, like, you always struck me as someone who had an affinity for machines.
Yep.
Now that's a good point. No,
this is a machine.
He's wanting. This is a machine.
This is a machine.
But that was right.
No. This is a machine. It doesn't have a physical body or a presence like, a press or something to work on metal, but that is a machine. And you're seeing it work every 10 minutes. It is unstoppable. It is an unstoppable machine. And I think you'll get to where you're like, wow, this is really interesting. The more you learn about how it actually works. Now, Dad and I, we liked the history of money. We liked some of the philosophical aspects of money that you either have or you don't have, but you can't do all this debt. You can't do all this. You can't, all that. But you might actually get interested in how the machine literally works.
Yeah, that's That's true.
And you introduced me to, I remember that you introduced me to Dune. When I was 7 or 8 or 9 years old, in Texas for one of the summers, you talked to me about a book where they had all this spice.
Oh, the book. I thought you meant the video game. I was like, I shouldn't have let you see that game.
No. I remember you talked about spice and about sandworms. And I was like, whoa, that sounds crazy. But that was like kind of a science fiction type thing. And Bitcoin is that intergalactic credit that is just going to work into the future. The dollar is the old, that's 20th century money. We need 21st century money. So I think you have some of the groundwork to be interested in Bitcoin, and I'm glad to hear you want to learn a little bit more. What we're going to do is we're going to recap the conversation with Uncle Mike. Okay. Uncle Mike's my uncle. He's your younger brother. He's your baby brother. Mm-hmm. He lives in Texas. He is in the shop of a high school, and he's helping teenagers work with metal, which, I mean, that's a dangerous way to make a living right there. And even after several decades of busting his butt, he's going to go into retirement and have to continue working, right? And there's no real end in sight. So what's going on here? Well, you might have made some choices. Dad might have made some choices. You could have saved more, whatever. But underneath everything is inflation. And it really is aggravating. Once you finally look it in the face and go, a Coke was a dime and I used to get 5 cents back when I was done drinking it. 60 cents for burger, fry, and soda. And now it's $17 for burger, fry, and no soda. That doesn't make any sense. Nothing is 34 times better, right? Like things aren't getting better. Things are kind of getting a little bit worse. So what's going on here? It's inflation. Why is inflation? The government's printing money. That's it. So what can you do to protect yourself from inflation? So that, like Dad said, we don't even care if Bitcoin goes to the moon. We just would love for it to hover. Just hover,
lose money.
Right? Because when y'all are going into retirement, you know for a fact your dollar's doing this. So if you could even just get this, that would be nice, right? Wouldn't it be nice if your money only goes down when you spend it?
That would be nice.
And if there's any chance that your money could actually go like this, that would be even better, right?
That would be better.
Give it 100 hours, you'll see your money's going to go like this. Like that. You're going to be like, whoa! You're going to be like this guy. Bitcoin's going to the moon. So if there's even the chance.
And I don't care that it does this.
As long as it does this on the way.
Yes.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And so I'm just doing like he does every dollar cost.
I enjoyed day trading when I had a job where I could sit in front of the monitor. Uh-huh. But now I'm got to watch a bunch of kids.
Don't trade Bitcoin. Just buy Bitcoin. Yeah. You can buy the same amount every week or the same amount every month. Or you could do like some guys do, and they kind of take a spare change approach. I was going to go to Five Guys and spend $17, but then I ended up not going. So they just pull out their phone and they buy $17 worth of Bitcoin since it's already kind of spent in their minds. And they have taken a spare change approach, kind of like just putting your coins in a jar. They just kind of throw in a Bitcoin.
I got coins in a jar in my closet.
Yeah.
Bitcoin's in the jar. We're doing we're saving $250 a month for car's next vehicle, so we can just pay cash for it. So she has agreed we're putting $250 a month in Bitcoin because we're going to not need it for 5, 6, 7 years. Yeah. So it'll stay safe until we go buy that car. So that's just like $1 cost averaging every month.
Yeah. So you can buy a little bit here, a little bit there, because again, if it just stays.
So where do you buy it? How do you buy it?
So there's there are exchanges online. Just like when you used to go overseas and turn your US dollars into a little kiosk at the airport and they'd give you the local money, you just go to an exchange. The most popular one is Coinbase. It's like the McDonald's of Bitcoin. You can download Coinbase to your smartphone right now. Follow the instructions to set up an account and bam, you can buy Bitcoin.
Yeah, but don't use that.
I bought my...
What do they charge you?
They keep it for you.
They keep it for you. And if you're a good Texan, you don't let anybody have your gold except for you, right? So we use Bitcoin well because they send the Bitcoin directly to your wallet. But to be fair, you can buy Bitcoin on Coinbase and periodically pull it over into your wallet. So it's just like having a bank account with dollars in it, only the dollars don't suck.
I got the Cash App.
Cash App.
Okay, yeah.
And actually, let me see that real quick.
Cash App, you can buy.
Let me see
Bitcoin
Cash
on
App. So Cash App is run by Jack Dorsey, who is a Bitcoiner. And I wonder if you can, if there's an option to send Bitcoin somehow. I'm pretty certain you can do Bitcoin on Cash App, right? Taxes. Look, Bitcoin. It's right here.
Same with
It's right here in your dang app, right? Tap on that Bitcoin. Look at that, dude. You already got a daggone wallet on your phone. You already have one.
Yeah, but I don't know if you get it. I don't know if they hold it for you like Bitcoin.
They hold
my money.
Yeah. They hold it. Now, I would recommend. I would just recommend periodically that you and we'll show you how to do that.
Move it to your own wallet.
Yeah. Because
I got a credit card that works.
Actually, that would work. I mean, that's Simple Steve's idea.
Yeah.
Use a credit card every month. Everything is in Bitcoin. Use a credit card. Mm-hmm. Pull some sats over. Pay your credit card bill.
And now Jack Dorsey, by the way, since he also owns Square or whatever, like the checkout, the point of
Square.
You can now pay with sats at any one of those. So you could take the Bitcoin on your Cash App and go. So future's here. Anyways, we're just focusing on, could Uncle Mike put a little bit in and just see if he can lock himself into place so that you're not doing this, right? Okay, so great conversation with Uncle Mike. And we're going to see if you want some Bitcoin right now. But before we do, let's take our little hummus break. So, Dad, you're always talking about us doing these guys right. So this is going to be your opportunity to give the kind of blessing to the sponsor that you think we should be giving them.
I tell you what, I love Ithaca Hummus because they are supporting Sat Chats. Mm-hmm. And so even though this is not made with olive oil, it's still delicious, Chris. So, Michael, here is the best hummus in the world. Take one of our not yet sponsors yet. You're going to have to read it.
Ingredients are on the bottom.
Yeah, upside down on the bottom. And we don't have a sponsor for our woven wheat yet. We're looking for one.
Yep.
Wow, this looks good. Everything I can eat.
Nabisco.
Yeah.
Y'all look this way.
If I can't pronounce it, I don't eat it.
Yeah.
So take a big
pronounce all that. So grab a flat guy, and we'll all eat it into the mic together when we're ready. Okay.
So hold on to it.
Now, do you want a bigger one or dig around in there? There you go.
Bunch of broken.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And let's grab some over here.
Some for the host here.
Okay.
You gotta stay close to the microphone.
All right. Cheers, everybody. Yeah, this is all people want is to watch us eat food. Here we go.
That is good.
That was really good.
Yeah.
Little jalapeno.
Jalapeno. What do you think about the heat levels on that?
It's just about right.
Just about right.
Yeah, for a snack. Not too hot.
And not too hot. Enough where you can taste it.
Yeah.
Very good.
Nice tingle, but it's not like you're going to, get destroyed. You don't have to get a drink of water. Right. Have you ever had Ithaca hummus before?
No.
So out there in Dallas, you can get it at Whole Foods.
Sprouts is out there.
And I believe Kroger's it's available at HEB.
Or HEB
what's
near
the
us.
Well, Central Market.
Central Market.
Okay. Yeah, so have a look for it out there.
Kroger has it.
Really?
Yeah.
Done Kroger.
I think so, and it's launching in Target and Costco soon.
I mean, I'm Chris, so if I say it's in Kroger, it's in Kroger. Chris is the co-host, and he owns and runs or CEO of this Ithaca Hummus.
He started this company himself.
And we want some more sponsors, y'all, because we treat our sponsors right. We'll make a big deal with our audience for you.
And we have turned a lot of people on to Ithaca hummus, and they don't buy any other hummus.
That's good. And you can save some of that because you get to take it home. So we don't have to eat it all now. You can let Kristen have some.
All right, Dad. So let's grab that Ulysses S. Grant from behind you.
Now I go back to work here.
So Uncle Mike, that was a kind of a whirlwind conversation that went into all types of different areas. And a lot of times the pre-corner is like, their head spinning at this point, right? Because it's easier to have a more focused conversation that helps you kind of focus on what's really important. But we're a bunch of youngsters who are insane for this stuff, and we're just excited for you to get started, right? So here's what I'll say. After today's episode, you talked about being willing to learn more, all right? Now, we believe in value for value here at this show, okay? And Dad, do you want to do this part? Do you know enough about Chris's?
I want this to turn to 960 because it's 47,950 sats. It would be an even 48,000 if it would turn to 960. I had dropped.
Better not calculate.
Too bad, I already calculated. Sorry, Chris.
So while you're learning more, we'd like to help you stack your very first sats, okay? And we're going to give you the choice.
If you want.
If you want. And I actually wonder if we'd be able to send them right to your Cash App.
I wonder.
That would be fascinating. So we're going to give you your choice.
We give value for value at Sat Chats. And your value is your time coming on to the show and helping us produce an episode. So in return for your value, we're giving you our value.
Now,
in either cash or in Bitcoin.
You can pick this thing that used to buy you 500 sodas and now can buy you 12 at best, or something new that might actually be a nice way to maybe diversify your retirement cash holdings and maybe even help you, tread some daggum water. Which one do you want to take?
And we have a point of pride here. If you see behind Stu, we're trying to convert the world to Bitcoin, and I'm being Chris.
Yeah.
Because I don't care for
about the world.
And we're up to 77 Bitcoiners chosen versus 7 cash. So we are very biased. But
we're trying.
Wait, let me see.
To 78.
All right. That's a yes.
Yeah. Okay, Uncle Mike. Let's go. Yeah. Yes. Woo, man. All right. Amazing. So.
All right. And let me say to Chris, you're welcome. Let me know when I need to step in here and up this podcast.
Yeah. All right. Well, you can put this old crusty government token back in the corner. Woo. All right, Uncle Mike. Thank you so much for stacking the sats. You will not regret it. Okay.
All right.
So
I'll let you know.
Yeah. Now, and we'll actually see whether you regret it. Okay. Because we actually ask each of our guests if they'd be willing to come back on in 9 months to give us an update on their Bitcoin baby. You can do it virtually right here with me, Uncle Mike.
Okay.
Right? So you don't got to drive back out here.
In school, so I'm not driving.
Would you be willing to
out here again?
Would you be willing to come back on the show in 9 months? Tell us what you learned, whether you're into it, whether you've gotten any more, or whether you're like, oh, that's horrible.
That'd be funny if you got on the screen and said, yeah, I read that book. I'm like, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm taking the cash this time.
Yeah. Would you be willing to do that?
I will do that.
All right, awesome. So you bring our scoreboard to 78 guests who have stacked the sats, along with 7 who need a little bit more time. And we're so happy that you did because we're trying to.
Or one of those just needed tacos.
God, Lid. Ruin my life, Lid. All right. This is the part of the show where we ask you, Satillionaires, for your value in exchange for ours. What do we value? YouTube subscriptions. What are we willing to give you in exchange for yours? A chance at 10 million sats. Not 47,000 or 48,000 sats like Uncle Mike just stacked. 10 million. Okay. 0.1 Bitcoin.
That's amazing.
Seems pretty good.
Actually, yeah.
That's currently valued at $10,434. All you got to do is subscribe. Be among the first 100,000 to do so, and you'll be entered for your chance to win. You can also support our show by zapping us with your sats on the Lightning Network, satchats@getalby.com. Our on-chain Bitcoin address is also in the show notes. This guy.
And you can also help us by watching our backlog of episodes. So we have watch hours going. Besides hitting the like button,
Yep.
And besides sending it to your friends, please consider running that while you're working at your desk on your second screen and help us with watch hours.
Yes, because then we'll unlock a membership area where you can get full, raw, you can watch every cramp, not even edit it out. Every time these old men's legs cramp up, you can be there for it. It's early. So raw tape early in the membership area. You can also come on the show, satchats.com, to grab your slot in the studio today. Thanks so much for watching. Sat Chats is for educational purposes only and should not be construed as financial advice. Also, our guests' views are their own. Thanks so much. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Bye.